Where I'm going in at?
Oh, yeah.
Hey, oh, young man. What's up? Good to see you, bro. How you doing? Welcome back to the States.
How we doing, man?
Good.
Yeah, we tried to draft your ass last year. It's all worked out.
Yeah.
You remember that, right?
Yeah, that's what I was about to tell you.
Someday we'll get a chance to talk about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, sit down.
And with that, welcome in to Inside Edge Primetime. That's Chad Bryan to my right, your left. I am Eli Moon. And yes, it is Friday, everybody. Happy Friday to those out there. You caught us a little early. We were a little surprised there. Still getting the kinks worked out, ladies and gentlemen. But you know what I'm saying? Great Friday to talk about a lot of great stuff. And it's going to be NFL action-packed. We have the Cleveland Browns making some moves there. As Todd Monken, the new head coach, continues to add to his staff. It seems pretty familiar if you're a Baltimore fan. We'll talk about that. We're also going to talk about Minnesota. The Vikings, they made a move in the general manager position, and we'll talk about what that means for the team and how they should address their offseason moving forward. And the Seahawks seem to be they just seem to be up for sale potentially after the Super Bowl. We'll talk about that. And Chad has a list for us at the end for myself and everybody out there. A great list, Chad. And you know, explain more about this list for those that weren't tuned in yesterday before. And also, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you how you were doing this Friday.
Oh, I'm always doing great. I'm doing good. It's Friday. It's the end of the week. We made it. Yep. It was a weird week. It's a cold week, man. It's really cold. It's gonna get colder tonight too. When I was on the way to school this morning, just real quick story. I was taking my one of my kids to school, and the first trip about 7:30 a.m. it was 20 below zero, and that wasn't like that wasn't how the air felt. That's the actual real temperature. It was 20 below zero. 20 below is cold. I've worked at places that have an ice cream freezer. It's 5-6 below zero. You walk in there and your nose starts to freeze, your eyes freeze within the first 30 to 45 seconds. 20 below is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I can't believe they had school, but whatever. I mean, they were only outside for a couple of seconds. They walk in the building. Whatever. My kids are tough. They're fine.
Yeah.
20 below this morning. Whew. But yeah, I don't know. Here's Todd Monken turning up the heat, bringing some former Ravens coaches with him, right? So we talked about what did you say this morning? We were texting each other about it. What did you say?
Just the Browns seem to be getting payback from 1995, Chad.
They took the Browns from us. We're taking the Ravens from them, right?
Yeah, they said, you know what? The Browns said, you took our team. Well, guess what? Payback. Just roughly about what? What's that? 30 years later? About 30 years later. So
better.
You know.
But regarding this, you did ask me about the list.
Yes.
I was just racking my brain. We talked about Bill Belichick not being a first ballot Hall of Famer, which is ridiculous. So I tried to dig deeper, and I tried to find some, semi-serious reasons that maybe if you could look at Bill Belichick, other than Deflategate and Spygate and all the whatever that nonsense, if you could actually look at Bill Belichick without colluding with a group of people to keep him out from being a first ballot Hall of Fame coach. And I tried to find just to see if there was any real tangible reason that you could maybe not vote for him on the first ballot. And I didn't find much, but the list of guys that have a better playoff winning percentage blew my mind, to be honest. Some of the names on that list, and some of it, granted, is a small sample size, but I still saw some names that I was like, wow. So there's that coming up later in the show. We'll get to that a little bit later.
Very excited. Make sure you stick around for that later on. As we mentioned, it could be a very football-packed day here on this Friday of Inside Edge Primetime. Thanks for tuning in. If you're just now joining us, make sure you give us a follow to Inside Edge Net on all the socials. Go ahead and hit follow and subscribe because this is the inaugural week of Inside Edge Primetime. The network's been running since the beginning of football season, so thank you for your support throughout the whole football season. We're not going anywhere. We're just getting started, and same with Inside Edge Primetime. Chad and I will be here with you an hour every day, Monday through Friday, around 10 o'clock. So, set the alarms because we'll be here talking all sports with you, okay? It's going to be a lot of great stuff, Chad. Let's dive right into it, okay? Yeah, absolutely. The Cleveland Browns, they continue to make moves as Todd Monken's filling out his staff. We're not having any news yet of Jim Schwartz. He seems to not still want to play here despite Jimmy Haslam wanting him back. But Aaron Wilson, he made he reported it here. Cleveland Browns hired Travis Switzer as team's new offensive coordinator. And You got to do some reading into it first, because you're not going to see the name Travis Switzer. Like, just for transparency, I was typing up the headlines here, and it wanted to take Switzer and make it Switzerland. So they're not too familiar with Travis Switzer yet. But for those that aren't, he is the Baltimore Ravens, or was the Baltimore Ravens run game coordinator. And obviously, Baltimore, known primarily for being a running team, right? Especially in the last few years. Lamar's always been able to use his legs, been a dual threat quarterback. And then you have Derrick Henry, who has had some good years. I mean, when isn't Derrick Henry doing well? But he's not missed a beat since joining that Baltimore Ravens team. You could say last year may have been like his roughest year since he's been there, but that was for everybody in that Baltimore Ravens offense, and that's the concern with Monken. If there is concern, it's just that last year, like, it wasn't your best year. It wasn't like you're coming off the number one offense and we just got you as our head coach. So that's the one concern I would have there, I guess. But it is exciting. Baltimore is primarily going to run the ball, so it seems like that's what Monken's philosophy is. He wants to get guys like Quinshon Judkins involved, after injury, and maybe Dylan Sampson. We'll see what happens with him. And if the Browns get creative in the draft, they're going to have 10 draft picks, as our guy TK always mentions. So they better execute on them, as our buddy says. So that's going to be interesting alone. What it does for the running game, and I think it kind of takes a little bit of pressure off of Monken. As far as, okay, now I can kind of really dive in with Shedeur, the quarterback room, and that type of stuff, Chad. We saw that clip at the beginning of the show with Shedeur and Todd Monken meeting, kind of like that Step Brothers scene, did we just become best friends? And it's interesting. Todd Monken did mention that the Ravens did want to draft Shedeur Sanders last year, but like Deion Sanders has come out and said, hey, why would he spend 10 more years backing up Lamar Jackson when he go start somewhere? So it does appear with Monken saying that when they met today, like, hey, we wanted to draft you. And look, it works out. It seems like all that truth is, from Prime and everything is obviously what it was said. So how do you feel? First off, I want to ask your thoughts on that video, because I didn't get to really ask you there. Does that make you feel a little bit better about Monken and his relationship with Shedeur, and then pivot into like Switzer and what this may mean for the offense for the Browns, Chad?
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's great that you want your head coach and your quarterback to have a good relationship. We don't know that Shedeur Sanders is going to be the starter. It sounds like, I don't know. I mean, if you read into that, maybe he has the inside track. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's all well and good. I mean, it's fun to see guys get along, and that's great. But it's got to translate to something on the field, right? Regardless of how well they get along. They can be all, smiles and dap on the sidelines, but if we go 3-14 here again, nobody's gonna care about that after like week 5,
Yeah.
So but it's great. It was fun to see. Listen, I think you always like to see two guys just kind of whatever, chatting it up, laughing, whatever. They look pretty comfortable with each other. Seems like there's some kind of a previous, relationship there that they're comfortable with each other. So that's good. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
Point. If Shedeur is going to be the starter, I think that's good. And I don't know, just the energy from Monken. I don't know. I'm feeling a little better over the last couple of days. Just kind of reading about things he's done with offenses he's been involved with. How he's never really stuck around long enough anywhere to really he's kind of moved around, gone from college to pro to college, whatever. Trying new endeavors, I guess. So maybe if we give him 5 or 6 of those Kevin Stefanski years that Kevin got when he was here. Maybe if we give him that long, he can build something out of this offense. Again, I really like the idea of Monken being able to build, his scheme around the players that are on the roster rather than trying to collect players to fit the scheme. We talk about that a lot, but that's a big thing for me. That's the reason why, coaching wise, I really liked Urban Meyer at Ohio State. He came in right away. Took over a team that was whatever, right under Luke Fickell. They were okay. Finished under 500 with the bowl loss, right? And immediately went 12-0, just with what was left on the roster after some turmoil. And that was Urban Meyer. That was prime Urban Meyer. Just being able to come in, assess the talent on the roster, build a scheme to work around that talent, to work with that talent, and to do something with it on the field. So we got to see it has to translate onto the field, like I said, right? Like they can get along all they want, and that's fine. That's fun. You like that. But they have to win football games. They're going to have to start winning football games eventually, and probably sooner than later, even though we think next season could be a little tough. And as far as Switzer, I think, first of all, he's kind of a local guy, right? Played offensive line at the University of Akron. That's good. He knows the area. I'm sure at least when he was there, I'm sure he was when you're an athlete, you listen to sports radio, right? I'm sure he's at least familiar with how Browns fans work and just the polarizing relationship that is Browns fans and the Browns as an organization, as a team, as a group, a franchise, whatever you want to say. It's like fans love the players, but they kind of, you kind of you get a little tired of the idea of the Browns sometimes, right? Because things don't work out. So he's familiar with that. All reports say he's very, very smart, just a brilliant coach, brilliant offensive mind. Was kind of Todd Monken's right-hand man in Baltimore. Here's where I think we need to just I don't want to use the saying pump the brakes so much here, but I think use caution when we say, hey, listen, he was credited with he really he was instrumental in the run game for Baltimore. It's a little bit like saying, hey, Phil Jackson was instrumental in those Bulls teams winning 6 titles, or oh man, Phil Jackson was really like those Lakers. Well, yeah, I mean, he had Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. He had Kobe Bryant and Shaq. You know what I mean? Like, of course, titles. Of course, they won games. They had, 2 of the probably top 10 or 15 players in the game at the time, the very best players in the game at the time, on the same team, right? Like, it makes it a little easier to. And again, it's the whole idea of being decent quarterback adjacent. Like, if you're on the roster when a quarterback, or in this case, the running game happens to figure it out. You've got Derrick Henry, you've got Lamar Jackson. Of course, the running game was good, right? You could have put me in charge of the running game, and I'd have been like, hey, take the ball, find the hole, and run through it. And they'd have been like, yeah, whatever, man. You know what I mean? And they would have run for 2,000 and 1,500 yards, whatever. They would have been fine without me. I just would have been there saying things, and everyone would have said, hey, hire the guy. He's a brilliant – look, he's a running game coordinator. Look what he did with Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. Hire him, right? So sometimes I think we need to use caution. I'm sure, like I said, great coach, really smart offensive mind. But sometimes it's funny we give credit to coaches when they have these uber talented players. And it makes me laugh. It's like, well, I mean, the running game probably couldn't fail with those two. But are you feeling better about Todd Monken? I know at first on the network we were like, wow, well, we ended up with Todd Monken. We're losing Schwartz. What is this? But the more I read about him, the more I remember why he was, he kind of excited me when I thought maybe he could be our offensive coordinator. And now he's our head coach. So I don't know, Eli, how do you feel?
Yeah, I feel a lot better than I did Wednesday, I'd say. And I think the additions have made me feel better. Bringing in Baltimore, besides last year, the reason John Harbaugh isn't in Baltimore is because of really last year. You can say the postseason failures too, but really last year not making it there, that gave Baltimore the ample opportunity to move on. But Baltimore primarily has been a very sound offensive team, even finishing, as the number 1 offense, a few years ago under Todd Monken. So I feel a little bit better. Yeah, I think we've all taken a little bit of time to chill, and I think I feel a lot better. I get what you're saying about Switzer too. Yeah, I mean, he did have Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson, which makes me think, Chad, we talk wide receiver, we talk offensive line when it comes to the offensive side of this football and like what they're going to address. Don't be surprised if the Cleveland Browns attack running back a lot sooner in this draft or free agency than people think. Just Quinton Judkins coming off injury. I think he's going to be great still next year. He showed a lot of flashes of potential, a lot of potential. I'm not going to say superstar or anything like that yet, but I think definitely could blossom into a very promising player for the Browns. But Dylan Sampson, just myself, he's left a lot to be desired, in terms of when he runs the football. So I would not be surprised if Travis Switzer, if Todd Monken, they look at Andrew Berry and Jimmy Haslam and go, hey, we got to bring in another running back. Because, when I was here in 2019, Todd Monken speaking now at this point, in this hypothetical, but I'd imagine he goes, I had Kareem Hunt and I had Nick Chubb.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what do you want me to do here? Like, if you want me to run the football well, I'm going to need good running backs. And I think that goes hand in hand. I get what your point is with Switzer. Yeah, he did have the talent, but obviously it seems like he brought a lot out of that team too, being part of that run. And it's like, we talk about it all the time. We're going to talk about Bill Belichick later. And, we talk about, will Bill Belichick be the same without Tom Brady? And I get it. He didn't win anything with Tom Brady. Brady went to a situation that, he's Tom Brady. He's gonna do well. But he also went to a situation that the defense was loaded. He brought his buddy Gronk over with him. Mike Evans is in his prime. Chris Godwin, blossoming star. So, they weren't in a bad spot. I think it's like
healthy too, right? They were healthy. That was the biggest
thing. Exactly. And what they had Lenny Fournette, playoff Lenny. So, I mean, but you think about, the player versus coach battle. I'm not saying you're saying that per se, but I think there is some weight to it. But I think Switzer is going to translate well to these young running backs because now he can really. We'll see, right? I mean, if he is a guy like that, then he's going to help development for Quinshon Judkins, the guy I just mentioned, Dylan Sampson. Maybe he believes in his running back room already, but I do think there will be an addition. They got 10 draft picks. I think they will make an addition. I just think the city will freak out if they address running back before they did wide receiver in the draft.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's already been talk of, I've seen some mock drafts of, the Browns possibly picking up a defensive end, another edge rusher to put on the other side of Myles Garrett. And I get the desire to want to pair somebody up with Myles Garrett. But it's the whole best player available versus, drafting to fill holes, right? And some people, I think when you say draft to fill holes, they think of like, well, you're just drafting for depth. But I mean, you need frontline starters. I mean, literal frontline starters on the offensive line. But I mean, you're going to have to get 4 guys in here really to overhaul the offensive line, at least 4. And that's if DeJuan Jones can spend the whole season healthy.
Yes,
that he can do that. I mean, he hasn't proven to be able to do that yet. For all accounts, I mean, DeJuan Jones is a great guy. He made huge strides for the Browns when they put him in there. He did really, really well. But then the lack of being able to stay healthy is a huge knock. Not his fault, but if he's not on the field, he can't beat the Browns.
Yeah, and that's going to be the thing, is can the Browns stay healthy? Can they really ultimately find the guys that can stay on the field? Old and injured is the 2 themes of the Cleveland Browns offensive line this past year. And that's tough to see because this was a line that had Joe Thomas, had Joel Bitonio, had, a very healthy line at one point. Then the Browns demolished it all when they went through Sashi Brown and all that fun. And, I had to retool. I'll never forget being, 10 years ago in broadcasting school. And we're getting updates that Mitchell Schwartz is being, released. They're not going to bring him back. And they're not going to bring this guy back. And I mean, well, who's blocking the quarterback? I mean, and we went through a real tough stretch there, and then you were able to retool, get, like I said, Bitonio really stepping up after Joe Thomas's retirement, really being the anchor of that line. Conklin, we had high hopes for Jack Conklin. He's been good when he's been healthy, but the thing is, when he's been healthy, and it hasn't been a lot of that. You just look at this, Chad, and you got to wonder, okay, what are the Browns going to do now, right? Because it seems like, okay, Monken's got his plan. He's already brought in the offensive line coach, George Warhop from Baltimore, brought in Travis Switzer, the new OC from Baltimore. He brought in, and I believe they had brought in somebody who was working with the tight ends, I believe, from Baltimore. I don't know if that's official, but long story short, they're bringing in a ton of, coaching staff here, right? Like very quickly. So now my mind's like draft, right? Draft and free agency. What are you going to do to improve the X's and O's of this team in terms of who's running the X's and O's when those routes are being ran? Is it going to be Jerry Jeudy at the wide receiver 1 or wide receiver 3? I mean, these are the conversations that I'm curious that are being had, and how much of a say Andrew Berry's going to get in all of this. Is this an Andrew Berry organization? Is this Jimmy Haslam running this, come draft time? Those are the questions I want to see because, you talk about these great draft prospects. Everybody at receivers looking at Carnell Tate from Ohio State. They're looking at Jordan Tyson from Arizona State. I hear Mekhi Lemon. Mekhi Lemon's another guy to keep an eye on. He is somebody that is he's more of a speedster. You know what I'm saying? Out of the guys, 5'11", over at USC, 5'11", 195. That's what ESPN has him at. I would be interested to see, what they're going to do here. I mean, are they going to look for speed? Like, what does a Todd Monken offense typically look like? And for me, it's speed. It seems to be everywhere he's gone. It's been speed. Nick Chubb, like the acceleration. Once he gets past that first wave of the defense, he's fast. He's gone. Obviously before the injury.
And I like those guys. I would stop you real quick, but if you're going to go wide receiver, I almost like a guy like Carnell Tate for the AFC North better. He's a little bit bigger bodied, right? Maybe not a burner, not a 4-3 guy, not a 4-4 guy. But he's going to run good, crisp routes. We know that because he played under Brian Hartline, right, at Ohio State.
Yeah.
So we know he's a good route runner. He's a good fundamental, technically sound receiver. Catches the ball, right? But like I said, the big body, I like that for the AFC North. I think that if you're going to go wide receiver, I think you address the wide receiver 1 position first. And I think in the AFC North, that's a 6'3", 6'4", 215-pound guy. I love the idea of having some speed on the inside, maybe in the slot or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I just don't know about Lemon with that first round pick. I'm not sure. You know what I mean? I'd have to look at more of his I always say film, like I'm in there like, with the film step in the film room or whatever. I'm not doing
I don't know. After yesterday, what you were able to find with those tests from Todd Monken and Berea, you might be able to get some information here, my pal.
Yeah, man, get some the Zapruder film, right? No, I think I just don't know. I think if you're gonna go wide receiver first, you go with a bigger bodied guy. And listen, don't forget about Jerry Jeudy and all this. I think with you've got an offensive minded coach coming in. I think it's kind of fun. That we need to we've got to fill all these holes on offense. You've got an offensive minded coach. You're going to get to see a lot. Hopefully, Andrew Berry and Todd Monken work together on filling the roster, right? I think you're going to see a lot in the draft about how Todd Monken's mind works. Just as as a play caller, as a scheme builder, we're going to get a good close up look at that because they need a ton of help. I think it would be weird to bring in an offensive coach and then you need all the holes filled on defense and you draft all defense and you go, hey, okay, whatever. But so that's going to be a fun dynamic to kind of keep an eye on too as we go through, as we head into April. And I think that'll give you your first real look at where just Todd Monken's mind is, what his plan might be for the Cleveland Browns going forward.
Absolutely. And let me be clear, Chad, just to everybody out there tuning in and watching this, my choice would be Jordan Tyson right now. I like Jordan Tyson the most out of the three. I like Carnell Tate. And actually, out of the three, I'd probably choose Mekhi Lemon third if I was in position to draft any of those at the sixth pick. And that was that if it was receiver and just find the best one, and that's your option at 6, Mekhi Lemon would be the third guy for me. But just want to mention it is something to keep an eye on. Cleveland Browns fans, we have been shocked before with surprising draft picks that haven't made a ton of sense, and usually they don't work out. But there are some ones that we were surprised about, like Mason Graham even surprised a lot of people. Everybody wanted a flashy pick, maybe getting the Travis Hunter territory or, just figure something else out. Mason Graham turned out very well his rookie year. So I'm just saying we don't know what the Todd Monken offense looks like. It does seem to me, at least, it's going to be high-powered in terms of scoring a lot of points is the goal and doing it fast. And Mekhi Lemon racks up a lot of yards. Junior out of USC. He played in 12 games last year, 79 receptions, 1,156 receiving yards, and 11 touchdowns. So he gets in the end zone and he gets a lot of yards. So I would not – all I'm saying is don't cross Mekhi Lemon off of your big board yet. He could be one of the guys the Browns look at a little bit heavier as we get into April because they don't really have a ton of speed on the football right now on the offensive side. A lot of the guys are possession, receivers, that is. Or Judkins can turn it up a notch, but he's not – we're not talking Saquon Barkley here, right? At least not yet. In terms of that speed or anything like that. Jerry Jeudy, the big thing coming out at college for him was he could run a route better than most people. And so we're not necessarily looking for like game-breaking speed out of him. And behind him, Tillman, all these guys, Isaiah Bond, more to be seen this year. I mean, they gave him obviously a lot of money to see what he pans out to be. But I think they're going to be looking for speed, Chad, so I would not be surprised. And I wouldn't be surprised if they did. We talked about defensive end. Would it make me a little frustrated in the moment? I got to be honest, yeah. Because we're building a team around Myles Garrett, but we don't even know if Myles Garrett's going to be here come April. We got to see what happens with Jim Schwartz. We got to see what happens with Myles Garrett. He's obviously disgruntled. I'm posting on Instagram a few days ago during the Todd Monken hiring. So, I just would not be surprised if they went, like I said, receiver at 6, and it was the one we weren't expecting with Mekhi Lemon, or if they held off and maybe could get him later or somebody else later. And that's their plan. Okay, Tate and Tyson go off the board. We're more so looking for speed there, and we're going to address whatever. What is that best player available, this defensive end? I mean, if Ruben Bain from Miami is there, I would want to draft him so bad. But
it's
we
hard
can't.
To pass over some of these guys. Caleb Downs, if he's there at 6, it's really hard to pass over some of these guys,
That's an interesting one, though, Chad. And not to interrupt you, but that's a very interesting one. We've talked about, the Browns could be in a perfect situation if Caleb Downs is there at 6, though, because – They either take the best player in the draft, prospect-wise, on all the big boards, he's the number one player. Okay, and then you have, like, the Thanos ring, or Thanos hand of, like, the defense. But, with Schwartz and all that, do you do something like that? Who knows? Maybe you need the extra talent. Who knows? Yeah. And if you don't take Caleb Downs, then you just say, hey, it's 2 first-rounders for Caleb Downs. Come get them. And then you embrace this rebuild. And that will tell me really how the Browns operate this draft is going to tell me really how long they envision Todd Monken being here. I know they give him a 5-year deal. The dome is every time we talk, the dome is going to be in Brook Park eventually. But it's going to be there. Yeah, and it's going to be there, Chad. And at the end of the day, it's like, how long is Todd Monken going to be here? Is he going to be the coach walking into the new Brook Park Stadium? Is he going to be leading this era of Cleveland Browns football that we keep asking for? Can we get a 5 to 7 year run? Well, they give him a 5-year contract, and if he does well there, he'll be a few years into the dome. And if we're in playoff contention, I'd imagine they say, hey, Todd, just coach until you don't want to coach no more. I mean, that's the ultimate goal. This isn't a bridge coach. That there's somebody that we can go, hey, Todd Monken didn't coach 25, 30 years here, but he did 15. And you know what? That's pretty dang good in Cleveland Browns history.
Yeah.
So,
it's really good.
Very interesting. Very interesting, Chad. I mean,
guys that did like 10 games, Eli. I mean, it's great.
Yeah. So, I mean, going to keep an eye on that. As always, like we told everybody yesterday, we could not stay away from the Cleveland Browns, and they sure as heck couldn't stay out of the news cycle today. So, then again, if you're just now tuning in, Cleveland Browns, per Aaron Wilson, they did hire Travis Switzer as the team's new offensive coordinator. ESPN 850 Cleveland, they also retweeted, shared it on theirs as well. So, multiple sources getting this out here, that Travis Switzer, he is the guy. Yep. So very interesting, Chad. That is our Browns talk of that. That's the last Browns talk of the week till Sunday. I'm sure you're going to talk about our Saturday, maybe tomorrow. I'll hit
up a little bit on the legal formation. We'll talk about Todd Monken and Travis Switzer and all the. We'll go over everything again.
Yeah. I can't wait to hear TK's thoughts tomorrow morning. Oh my goodness, that'd be awesome.
A little bit. He was, TK was a little worried when we spoke with him last. So we'll see how he feels tomorrow.
Absolutely. Well, hey, we got a lot more here coming up for you here on Inside Edge Primetime with Chad Bryan. I'm Eli Moon. This is the Inside Edge Network. When we come back, we're going to talk about the Minnesota Vikings. They fired their general manager today, Kwesi Adofo-Mensah. If that name sounds familiar, it's because he was in Cleveland in the front office prior, 4 seasons ago, and now he's looking for a new home. The Vikings have a very weird draft strategy, an offseason strategy, as it seems like they should have did this maybe 3-4 weeks ago. With that being said, Chad and I are going to talk about that. We are going to also mention that an NFL team is up for sale, and you'd probably be a little surprised which one it is.
Listen, start checking your couches for any change, any spare loose change that you might have. Get out the piggy banks. Maybe we can all go in. We'll find out who it is later, though.
Absolutely. And then a reminder at the end of the show, Chad has a list of coaches that have a better playoff postseason record, like percentage, not record, percentage though, than Bill Belichick. And that's gonna shake the ground here. We're gonna end the week on a bang here for Inside Edge Prime Time. But that's Chad Bryan. On my right, your left, I'm Eli Moon. This is the Inside Edge Network. When we come back, we're going to talk in Minnesota and Seattle. More NFL talk after this. And welcome back to the Inside Edge Network. This is Inside Edge Primetime. That's Chad Bryan to my right, your left. I am Eli Moon. And thank you for tuning on in here on this Friday evening. I know it's cold, but there's a lot of things to do still in Cleveland and across the world. And yeah, you chose during Grammys weekend off with Chad and I. So thank you so much. With that being said, Chad, we got a lot to talk about. Like we told the peeps at home, it's going to be a lot of NFL here. I think we should just go over to Minnesota and we should have a conversation about the Vikings because the Minnesota Vikings have fired, per Adam Schefter of ESPN, the Minnesota Vikings have fired GM Kwesi Adofo-Mensah after 4 seasons. And that name may sound familiar to some Cleveland folks because he was in the front office here in Cleveland before he went over to get that gig in Minnesota. And it seemed like he was going to turn that team into an even bigger juggernaut in the NFC North. You know, Justin Jefferson there, you know, they just got to add. They just got to, they're off of Dalvin Cook, so they got to start adding here. You know, near the end of the Dalvin Cook run, got to get a running back. They just never did any of the things they needed to do, right? You look at these 4 drafts from Kwesi, and it just wasn't good. I mean, you got Jordan Addison, you got Jalen Naylor, Kyrie Jackson, some names that stand out. Will Reichert, the kicker. Those names stand out, but then you look at a lot of guys that didn't really amount to too much for the Vikings, and that's got to play into it, Chad. But I'd also imagine the quarterback position played quite a lot into this one. You have a draft of J.J. McCarthy. He gets injured. You put Sam Darnold in. He takes you to the playoffs, and you decide not to keep him. And you saw what happened, how McCarthy played this year, and we saw how Sam Darnold plays. He'll get one more chance to really take home the championship. I mean, well, what do you make of this whole situation for the Vikings?
Well, I mean, stop me if you've heard this before. A Browns front office member, former or current, swinging and missing in the draft, acting as the smartest guy in the room, and completely whiffing on the quarterback position. Having a guy there in place that won games, and then moving him out for a different guy because, well, we said so. And I mean, my goodness, it's like the cookie cutter. It's Browns North, right? I saw a tweet that said that the Vikings brought in, they brought in Adofo-Mensah to move the Vikings in a certain direction, and then it became apparent that direction was toward being the Cleveland Browns. And I thought, God, it's right, it's true. I mean, even if you look at everything, I mean, down to, like I said, the swings and misses in the draft, having a capable quarterback there, moving him out. Now that quarterback is where? He's in the Super Bowl. And you've got your guy there, and that guy was J.J. McCarthy. And I mean, listen, everybody, he sits on the field and meditates before the game, and that's nice and peaceful. But again, you got to win football games on the field, and you got to stay healthy. You got to be out there. He's had a problem doing those things. So, I mean, it's wild how I don't want to say that Browns front office members go other places and infect them with like this Browns-itis kind of a thing. But man, I mean, like I said, stop me if you've heard this before, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm just from ESPN, an article here, owner Mark Wolf said the decision was not based on any particular decision or reason, but 4 years of where we've been. That's a quote, 4 years of where we've been. And the Sam Darnold thing's a big problem. I mean, if Sam Darnold didn't go to the Super Bowl and just had an average year, Kwesi may have kept the job another year.
And listen, they can say it's not based on any one decision, but man, the optics are pretty crazy. They move Sam Darnold out, he goes to the Super Bowl, obviously GM's gone, right? Like that's
seems odd.
Yeah.
Hasn't even got to fulfill the entire J.J. McCarthy contract. We don't know what's going on there. The Vikings are going to just kind of rip the Band-Aid off and try to move on because it just wasn't pretty at most times last year for J.J. McCarthy, or 9, I guess, as he calls himself on game days, whatever. Justin Jefferson's got to be the most frustrated. Not even named to the Pro Bowl. He was actually pretty upset about that. We've actually been talking a lot about Pro Bowl, but he said he likes to stay consistent and make these Pro Bowls, and he had over 1,000 yards with real average, if not below average, quarterback play. And, that, plus the Vikings are struggling in cap space right now. We talked about the Browns having, no cap space. The Vikings are maybe worse off than the Browns in terms of cap space right now. And that's crazy. So all that kind of factors in. But yes, Chad, I think we'd both be kidding ourselves if it wasn't because Sam Darnold's in the Super Bowl right now, and the Vikings could have just hung on to him, and they'd probably look a lot better. I mean, they may not have went to the Super Bowl, who knows? But they definitely would have not miss the playoffs, I don't think.
Yeah, they're certainly not the Seahawks. I mean, I get it, but I mean, listen, they might be a better version of the Vikings with Sam Darnold. And who knows? I mean, would Sam Darnold have continued that hot streak? I mean, it seems like he figured something out and took it to Seattle with him for sure. I don't think you can give one franchise or the other the full credit for developing him into what he is right now. Maybe it's a little 50-50. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say.
Yeah. No, it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be super interesting, and we'll keep an eye on it. I feel for Justin Jefferson. He's a guy who keeps super quiet. He doesn't cause a stink, or an uproar or anything like that. He just team first guy, and he's literally the best receiver in the league in a lot of people's eyes. And so that's where you're at. I guess if you're the Vikings, you gotta, just like how the Browns gotta kind of appease Myles Garrett and some of these guys have been here. Justin Jefferson is the face of the Vikings. I mean, there's an argument in Minnesota. Is it Anthony Edwards or is it Justin Jefferson as the face of Minnesota right now? And that's a real thing, and if the Vikings wanted to be Justin Jefferson, they got to get him somebody that can actually get him the football so that fans remember, fans will remember that he plays on the team. So, yeah, that's the quarterback move was bad. Like I said, the drafts don't add any better ringing endorsement for Kwesi. But, yeah, this was kind of inevitable, especially after the year they had. Yeah, not good. So they have to move on from him after 4 seasons. The Vikings do. We'll pivot over to Seattle, Chad. I know me and you have been talking about trying to figure out some, different finances, see if we can get in the running here, throw our hats in the ring.
I figure we can go half and half. You might have to spot me on my half for just a couple of weeks while I scrape it up. But yeah, I mean, I think we're good for it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, there's a reported dual reporting from Henderson and Wickersham that the Seattle Seahawks will be for sale after Super Bowl 60. They will play in the game, not this Sunday for those looking for the Super Bowl. They will play next Sunday. Pro Bowl action this Sunday, though. And we'll have coverage here on the Inside Edge Network Sunday Sports Show in the morning. Chad, TK, and Ryan Mosser. And then main event with myself, Robert Zicki, and W. Anthony Alford later on that evening. So keep an eye out for that. Now, let's talk about the Seahawks thing, Chad, okay? Because the Seahawks are in the Super Bowl next week, and they could really raise the value of this team. This is the report. Like I said, the Seattle Seahawks will go up for sale after Super Bowl 60. They could set a record for an NFL team price, $7 to $8 billion per arrival team exec. This is from the Wickersham report. Going to be very interesting to see what the number actually is, depending if they win or lose this game. I guess I don't have too much thoughts in terms of can we buy the team, but is there any front runners? Is there any famous people in Seattle that might want this team? I was thinking Macklemore. When Macklemore, I know he goes thrift shopping a lot, but maybe you would want the
thrift shopping for the Seahawks, not at $8 billion. The Dodgers. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe the Dodgers, they'll just defer the payment for 100 years. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I can't think of a single. Listen, I'm out of the loop with rich people. I don't know any mega billionaires. At least not to my knowledge. If I do, they haven't told me. Yeah, I don't know. If so, cash at me. No, don't do
that. Yeah. What about the owner of the Supersonics? They get rid of the Seattle Supersonics. Maybe they bring in the old.
Let's get the Supersonics back in the NBA. Can we please get basketball back in Seattle? I miss the Supersonics, right? Gary Payton, Sean Kemp, the green and yellow. Whatever. That's a story for another time.
Even Kevin Durant. Starting his career there as a Supersonic before they went over to OKC. So, I mean, very, very interesting. Yeah, not a ton to really break down in terms of a team. I guess really the only thing that kind of shocks me is why is this news coming out right before your biggest game? It just seems.
Wasn't that a distraction? Yeah.
Very, very odd timing. I mean, depending who the owner is, right? Because that's a big deal. I mean, that is the Seattle. You don't hear about big debates. You don't hear about Jimmy Haslam type stuff or Jerry Jones type stuff happening in Seattle. So you would hope that you really don't even hear about who really, you hear about who gets the team, and then after that you don't hear from them except for if they're hosting a Super Bowl again or hoisting one.
Be a financial transaction. There shouldn't be any Jimmy Haslam or Jerry Jones type stuff. I mean, it should just really be a financial transaction, and the philosophy should stay the same. You should still let the football people be the football people and run the football side of the franchise. But you wonder, is the new owner more winning centric, or is the newer profit centric? I mean, I think profit comes with winning, but that's just me. There's a team in Pittsburgh that plays in Major League Baseball that would tell you otherwise, because they don't win very much, but they make money hand over fist there, right? because they don't have any payroll. Miami Marlins, the same thing. I mean, they just, they rake in money from attendance and from they con the city into building a brand new stadium, and they haven't they've come close to putting a couple of decent teams out there, but I feel like they've lucked in. They haven't really tried, right? They don't go after the top line free agent. They don't try. They've got some young guys that have been pretty good, and they've won some games and they've come close, but they don't have those pieces on the roster. So it depends on what kind of owner you get. I mean, do you have an owner that's all in on winning, or do you have an owner that's like, hey, let's pinch the pennies and let's make a few extra million here and there, and not so worried about getting back to the Super Bowl because that's costly.
Yeah.
Whatever. It just depends.
The one thing I want to keep an eye on too, I mean, I don't think a Seattle Seahawk themselves, like a former one, would be able to obviously afford this by themselves, but I wonder if they become maybe a majority owner or at least some part owner, maybe get a Seahawks veteran in there, maybe like a Richard Sherman or I want to say Matt Hasselbeck, but I don't think even they want Matt Hasselbeck.
I was going to say back in the 80s, I don't think they made enough money. Steve Largent, is he around? I don't know. Did he do it?
Steve Largent's a legend, though, man. Oh, my goodness.
Man, the 2-bar face mat. I love that. Yeah,
yes. Okay. Well, we'll keep an eye on that. And we'll keep an eye on Seattle. Obviously, before the sale, they're going to play the New England Patriots in the Super Bowl. And Chad will have some discussion on that, I'm sure, Sunday a little bit. But we're also going to talk about, and Saturday, obviously, legal formation before that with TK and Chad. That is on Saturday morning, about 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. mark. They're going to get rolling in that range, and then they're going to go out and run with you guys. And then, like I said, Sunday, they'll probably have some thoughts, too, on that. But we had a whole week ahead of us before the Super Bowl. We'll do some Super Bowl coverage throughout the week on Primetime here as well. So, a lot of great stuff, Chad. I got to tell you, I've been waiting. I've been so excited all show. You told me that you had a list, and it had playoff winning percentages that were better than Bill Belichick. Is that right?
That's right. This is a specific thing I wanted to look up because I thought if anybody is going to hold anything against Bill Belichick and you're going to have something football tangible, like, something tangible, right? You can't say Deflategate or Spygate. I mean, you could say it. But a lot of these voters aren't going to come out and say, well, it's because of this, because of that. It's a football related reason, because if not, it looks really bad. The optics are terrible, right? Bill Belichick, 8 Super Bowl titles in total, 6 as a head coach. How is he not a first ballot Hall of Fame? It's ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
So I thought there must be a football rate. There's got to be something that the owners can cling to. And I can tell you that maybe it's because he's 12th all time on the preseason winning percentage list. He's got 11 coaches that are ahead of him, and some of them aren't going to surprise you. Okay, Vince Lombardi, 9-1. That's fine. We know Vince Lombardi, absolute legend, right? It's. I mean, when you think of why is the trophy called the Lombardi Trophy? He's clearly a legend, right? You've got Weeb Eubank. We're going way back in the way back machine, right? We're still back in the old days. Don McCafferty, okay, is 800 winning percentage. Here's Bill Belichick, 705. He's 31-13. Let me get to some names that you might recognize. Tom Flores, okay, Bill Walsh, Gary Kubiak, Barry Switzer is on this list. Joe Gibbs with the old Washington, 17-7, 708 winning percentage. He's sitting right above Bill Belichick. But the one man, Eli, the one that blew my mind, Bengals fans, are you listening? It's Zach Taylor. Zach Taylor has a higher postseason winning percentage than Bill Belichick. Listen, Zach Taylor is absolute garbage until he gets to the postseason, right? And in the postseason, he's 5-2. I know it's a small sample size. I don't mean to get excited about it, but it was just funny to me to see Zach Taylor's name above Bill Belichick on this list. I'm like, man, come on. Bengals fans want to fire this guy. Understandably so. I completely get it. I don't care about the postseason winning percentage. But he's 5-2, and I get it. Like, some of that's Joe Burrow, whatever. But man, that cracked me up to see Zach. And if anything, I thought some of these voters are going to see Zach Taylor's name above Bill Belichick and go, we can't vote for this guy. He's not a first ballot Hall of Famer. Zach Taylor's better in the postseason than Bill Belichick. Okay, 5-2 is a little different than 31-13. I understand that. But it just made me laugh to see Zach Taylor's name in the top 10 of postseason winning percentage. That blows my mind.
Yeah.
But there he is.
That's crazy. And honestly, Bengals fans may need to chill out a little bit. No, all joking aside, though, I mean, obviously getting Joe Burrow there with you in the playoffs. I mean, Joey B, he gets there. He's been dang good. So Zach Taylor's benefited from being, attached to one of the best quarterbacks in the game right now. But
so did Bill Belichick.
So did Bill Belichick.
Tom Brady, right? Like, there you go.
Yeah, interesting. I appreciate that. You know what? And that was really interesting. That was informative. and a lot of names. Gary Kubiak. That was a crazy one.
Yeah, I didn't. Bill Walsh didn't surprise me at all. Joe Gibbs didn't surprise me. I remember watching that Doug Williams Super Bowl where he just tore the Broncos up. And first of all, I mean, that was, it was coming off Brown's heartbreak, right? So I was rooting for Washington. It's like, please tear the Broncos up, right? Like sometimes you want the team that beat you to go on and win the Super Bowl, but I remember watching Washington. I mean, Doug Williams it's unbelievable. Joe Gibbs, by the way, won Super Bowls, I think, with 3 different quarterbacks. Doug Williams, Mark Rippon, and a third guy. I'm blanking. It's too late on a Friday night. It's been too long of a week. But maybe there's reason for Joe. Maybe Joe Gibbs should have been a first ballot Hall of Famer, right?
Yeah, I mean, the world may never know, Chad. And there's one thing's for certain. Apparently, in the world of the NFL we live in now, Bill Belichick isn't even a first ballot Hall of Famer. So
I don't care about Zach Taylor where he is. That's absurd. I mean, Bill Belichick is clearly a first ballot Hall of Fame NFL coach. It's not close. We're gonna hear. I think we're gonna hear more on this story before, everything's said and done. I think we'll hear a lot. There's a lot of meat and potatoes to this. We'll hear about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I have one more football related thing here for you. I know we talked about a bunch of football. We're gonna take a quick pause after this. I do want to just get some quick Cavs thoughts when we come back around the bend to wrap this thing up.
Okay.
But I want to see. Do you know what happened 26 years ago today in the NFL world?
26 years ago today in the NFL world. That is that's a load. That's would have been January 30th, 2000.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Today, 26 years ago on January 30th, 2000, in Super Bowl 34, the Tennessee Titans, they lost to the St. Louis Rams 23-16. Now, when people hear that score, they're like, wow, good game. It was such a good game that the final play, Mike Jones of the Rams tackled Kevin Dyson, the Titans receiver, 1 yard short of the goal line, a play now known as the tackler, 1 yard short. But this was Aaron McNair and the Titans, and they were trying to keep it going, and they were unable to by a yard. So crazy, 26 years ago today that
missed it that much.
Yeah, and the Titans have never been the same since.
That was a crazy ending. Was that the same year? I think that was the same year in the playoffs where the Titans pulled off the miracle kick return. Remember, that was the same year.
Yes. Aaron McNair, man. Aaron McNair.
That was crazy.
So,
what a fun era of football. The Rams, the greatest show on turf. I mean, like Kurt Warner out there literally bagging groceries and gets a shot in the NFL and goes and wins a Super Bowl with one of the most dominant offenses of all time. What a cool era of football that was.
Yeah. And you know what? So Aaron McNair, he played at Alcorn State. So, and I had when Youngstown State had, so I have, Youngstown State peeps that saw him play, and they were like, this guy's a pro. Like, he is a pro. And like, obviously
get that attention in college and seeing Alcorn State games on TV because of, it was amazing.
Yeah. Crazy, man. 26 years ago today. Crazy. Well, we'll see what the Titans can do. They got Robert Saleh now as the head coach of the team. So we'll see what they can get going there. But I do want to get back here. We're going to take a quick pause. We're going to do our final thoughts. My final thoughts are going to be Cavs based here. And I want to get your thoughts with my final thoughts of the Cavaliers and their current situation. They are fighting for this 2 seed right now in the Eastern Conference still as we speak. Playing tonight, they should be actually wrapped up here by the time we come back. We'll go over the score up. They should be about concluded. They're in Phoenix, I believe they're out there in. So we'll keep an eye on that.
Yeah.
And when we come back, we'll give you a Cavs update. We'll go over the Cavaliers and what they should do trade deadline. Giannis Antetokounmpo looming. Anthony Davis on the trade block. John Morant on the trade block. And a whole lot of other names.
Yeah.
What did the Cavs do, Chad? What should they do? We'll find out. They're
going to stand from as always. They're not going to do anything.
Oh my goodness. You gotta give something for the people after the break. We got a lot more coming after you.
Just kidding. I'm kidding.
We got a lot more coming after. We got one final break. Final thoughts here. Chad, Bryan, and Eli Moon. This is Inside Edge Primetime here on the Inside Edge Network. Thanks for tuning in. We're back for one final segment right after this. And welcome back to the Inside Edge Network. This is Inside Edge Primetime. That's Chad Bryan to my right, your left. I am Eli Moon. Thanks for sticking around all week and all evening long. There's tons of things to do on a Friday night, but you're kicking it with us. So hope you're enjoying a nice refreshment, whether it's caffeine or whatever else. Yeah, eating something good. Chad, I got to tell you this before we get into our final thoughts. I had a really good dinner. Papa Moon took this like chicken and he had a broth, like chicken broth, like just fresh chicken. Oh my goodness, so good. He made rice and then he like took the broth and the chicken, put like carrots in it, celery, mushrooms, onions. I mean, all the good stuff, man. I mean, it's for a cold day in Ohio. I mean, this is like a warm day out of all the days we've had recently, but it really hit the spot, man. I got to be honest. It was Papa Moon. I know he does Real Talk with Papa Moon here Saturdays 5 p.m. So check that out tomorrow in the afternoon. We'll have my guy Gio on, part of my collective Lahele and the music collective. Very excited, and we might have to get Gio some of that food because Papa might have to start cooking for some of his guests. That was pretty dang good. I'm not gonna lie.
If he does, let me know. I'm going to invite myself to be a guest on the show. I'm in, man. Listen. The comfort food. Sometimes you need some comfort food, especially in the winter up here.
Yes.
And I do I think it's funny. No matter what show I'm on, whether it's this show with you, Illegal Formation with TK. It could be the NFL pregame show with Ryan Mosser and TK Dandridge. Doesn't matter. It always comes back to food. We always end up talking about food. And I sit here, and by the end of the show, my stomach's grumbling and growling. Man, I get so hungry. Just talking. Well, so hungry.
Well, how about this? We'll get you to a late night dinner here in just a moment. Let's go to our final thoughts, and let's have a conversation about the Cavaliers. There's a clip that came out about Charles Barkley saying that the Cavaliers need to make a move potentially for Evan Mobley. We referenced yesterday, make a move for Giannis Antetokounmpo and potentially trade Evan Mobley. That they need to do something. They are winners of the last 12 of 16. They did play tonight against the Phoenix Suns. That game, I believe, just went final. Let me double check here. Game just it is live still, so my apologies. Not final yet. No, it is final. 126-113. Cavs lose. So Phoenix Suns do. Yeah. So they just won. The Suns did one at home, 126-113, leading the way for the Cavaliers. 17 points for DeAndre Hunter, 7 rebounds for Allen and Donovan Mitchell with 6 assists, and leading the way for the Suns, 27 points from Dylan Brooks, everybody's favorite. So yeah, very interesting there. So now Cavs winners of 12 of the last 17. Just to update that stat. But do you think the Cavs need to make a severe catastrophic, not catastrophic, but groundbreaking, that's the wrong word, catastrophic, but groundbreaking move? I did see, there's rumors going around of other potential trades. We've talked about Giannis, maybe the idea of Giannis coming here. What do you think the Cavs need to do? Are you open to trading Mobley, or what do you think?
I don't know. It would have to be a heck of a return for Mobley, and I don't know. On the other hand, it's sort of like that. It's like the fear of the unknown, right? Like Evan Mobley has been a very, very good player. He's been better the last couple of years. Like I said, I think everyone was waiting for Evan Mobley to take a huge step forward, to be like a top 5 or 10 guy in the league, right? He's a great piece for the Cavs. Obviously, he's the top. I don't know. I would give him a top 25 or 30 player in the league, but he's just not. There's not a lot of flash there. I think sometimes he flies under the radar. Sometimes he disappears completely. He's been pretty solid over the last 2 seasons. I don't know. Sometimes I think it's like I said, and I'm guilty of this too, but fans sometimes I think want to hold on to the prospect. And then when does the prospect switch over, to either fulfilling the potential? I wouldn't label Evan Mobley a bust by any means. I just don't think that he's necessarily, and it's hard. It's not easy to elevate to that level of being a top 5 or 10 player in the league, right? It just hasn't gotten there. You always think next year. It's going to be, next year's the year. Next year's the year. Next year's the year. And the Cavs and Cavs fans' luck would be if you trade him and then Giannis comes here and, physically starts to go downhill, and then all of a sudden Evan Mobley takes the step, right? And you're like, oh, we had the guy on our roster. Like, there he was. Like, there's whatever. That can be frustrating. Listen, I don't know. They're rumored to be looking to trade DeAndre Hunter. They're going to have to find a third team. It's a Lakers thing. They're going to, but the Cavs are above whatever. Just the whole money thing in the NBA it's a mess, right? To try to actually trade players in the NBA, it's mental gymnastics. Like somebody's got to offer a class on it. I think you've got to there's got to be like a homeschooling thing where you can learn how to trade people in the NBA. Like, how does that even work? I don't know what they should do. I hope they don't make a catastrophic move. I guess to answer your first question, I don't want them to do that.
Yeah, to not mean that one, but a groundbreaking one may not be in the cards either. You did mention that DeAndre Hunter trade. That's Chris Fedor mentioned on the latest on the Wine and Gold Talk podcast. Just he said my sources tell me that the Cavs and Lakers have discussed a general framework surrounding DeAndre Hunter for Rui Hachimura and Dalton Connect, and then bringing in a third team. Just to Chad's point, and I actually would like that. I know DeAndre Hunter's a sound guy defensively, and he hasn't really caused any ripples. But there was rumors earlier of him not being happy. How true is that? I don't know, but just rumors. And this kind of maybe plays into that a little bit. That maybe he just isn't happy as much here, and they're going to get him a situation where put him there. He's a wing that Luka can rely on to get a quick bucket every now and then, and he's going to play some good defense and maybe pick up Luka's guy because Luka's not very good at defense typically. So maybe that's good for them. And then Rui comes in here. I mean, a guy maybe a new change of scenery. He started his career in Washington, really good at Gonzaga, and since then it's just kind of been trying to figure out what's next for him. I think he would come in here though and create, immediately give us an extra guy that has size, and can put the ball in the basket. And I think, rebounding would help as well as far as wing rebounding. So I think that would help a little bit with Rui. I really think the Dalton Connect one's the most interesting. He's looking for a change of scenery because they've kind of shelved him. I mean, he had that really good hot start and then all of a sudden just quieted down after last year, his rookie year, and it really hasn't been the same. So I think getting him here, especially us dealing, Cavaliers dealing with Max Strus being injured constantly. And I hope he gets back healthy. I was talking to my bro narrator, and he actually mentioned, he's like, when Max Strus is healthy, he is the only guy on this team that's, I got to fact check myself here, but that has been to a finals. Yeah. Is Max Strus with Miami. So, but yeah, I mean, just talking that, and narrator was even saying this, and I agree with the bro. It's like he would immediately at least help, when he's on the floor, he's got that, he understands what it takes to get to the next level. Is he the star guy? No, but he understands what it takes to play team ball to get to where you need to get to because those Miami teams play team ball. So
be the superstar to be a guy that makes a difference. Think of Matthew Dellavedova when he was here. He wasn't a highly skilled player as far as he wasn't a walking bucket, right? He just played so hard. He had that I don't know, that something. You couldn't quite put your finger on it, mostly because he was like a jitterbug all over the court. You just couldn't catch him to put your finger on it. But I don't know. He just had that extra little hustle, that desire. He just played so hard all the time, right? And I don't know. I think the Cavs are going to have to look for someone that can play a little bit of defense. Somehow the defense has gone by the wayside. They defended so well last year, and I don't know what the difference is this year. I'm just not sure. I worry about the Cavs playing pretty much anybody in the playoffs, Eli. I just don't see it going well. I don't know. I don't know what they do, to be honest with you. I don't know what move to make. It's like earlier in the season, I would have been like, yeah, blow it up, whatever, But now they're starting to play pretty well. So that would be the catastrophic move to blow it up. Don't do that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, it's definitely something to keep an eye on. And the Suns aren't a bad team for those that haven't been keeping track too much of the NBA yet, before the deadline, if they're more of an after the trade deadline viewer. 29-19, they are 16-6 now at home. So the Suns aren't a slouch after, they moved on from Durant, is Booker's team again. It really never wasn't Booker's team, but now it's clearly Booker's team again. They moved on from Beal and Durant. And now they're in a spot where, okay, how do they shape that? But back to the Cavaliers here. Yeah, I think maybe a Rui and a Dalton Connect move could help. It just gives more depth for this team too. I mean, Lonzo Ball's had good shine, here and there, and then some games you're like, leaves you a lot to be desired. And I think the team's missing Ty Jerome. They're missing, they let walk. I think they're missing Max Strus, who's hurt. Yeah. And that's what it is. But I think ultimately the Cavs might have to get in the Giannis running, Chad, because if they don't
defense, listen, Hachimura and Connect, I like because they do give you a little bit of good shooting, some bench support. They give you offensive support, right? But they still don't have that one defender. Is anybody afraid of anybody on the Cavs defensively in the league? Anybody?
No.
There's nobody on the roster that's like, man, but he's a nightmare, right? A matchup nightmare. Whether it's a stretch 3 or a stretch 4, a guy that's big enough to go defend the wing, or a guy that's big enough to defend the rim. They just don't really have that guy. I mean, Mobley shows some flashes, some stretches of blocking some shots here and there, but then sometimes he just gets bullied, right? He gets pushed around, and he's not It doesn't have the physical size. I just the Cavs don't have anyone you fear defensively. Whether even if it was like a really aggressive, I don't know, a point guard. Somebody that can D up anybody on anybody's team, right? I worry. I mean, in the playoffs, I just see them giving up 115, 125 points a night and having to outscore everybody, and you can only do that for so long. I don't know. They're not as much of a mess as the Browns, but they do worry me. Listen, they're going to get into the playoffs, and they're obviously further ahead than the Browns are. But as far as like getting to an Eastern Conference Finals, I really don't have any faith in that happening. Just to be honest.
And that road gets a lot trickier, and that's why I mentioned if you're the Cavs, you should definitely look into Giannis. You should definitely look into Giannis because
remember when the East was going to be wide open this year, Eli? Remember when like Boston was going to fall apart and the Knicks were whatever? You know, they had cap issues, whatever, money, and it's like the road was paved for the Cavs to be the 1 seed and go right to the Eastern Conference Finals and to be back in the glory days, right? And now we don't know if they'll get out of the first round. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're fine. But this is what maybe they need. You know, last year they were the 1 seed, and you still would have got them. You know, got them cruising into the second round and getting that ass whooped. Really, I mean, for lack of better words, against
another
Indiana.
Sweep, right?
Yeah. So I mean, we'll keep an eye. But I will say this, and this is my final thought. And I want to then get yours if you have any more here on this Cavs, just anything we've talked about here. But my final thought is just that the Cavs do need to at least see what's going on with Giannis. I know they're the only team in the second apron. It's going to be tricky with contracts and all that and moving around, but you might have to make it work. Because if the New York Knicks get a hold of Giannis Antetokounmpo and he goes and plays basketball in Madison Square Garden, it's blouses for the Eastern Conference. It's blouses. Jalen Brunson. Yeah. Jalen Brunson. Karl Anthony Towns. You have Giannis Antetokounmpo. I mean, now I did talk about in a hypothetical. I don't know how the contracts would work, but I'd imagine Josh Hart and Cat might be in a trade up for Giannis. But then you're still looking at a potential lineup in this hypothetical of Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and then they put Mitchell Robinson up to the 5, and they have Yabusele that could play center. I mean, they might just have to find some other guys there, but they're not hurting. They have Tyler Kolek as well, who stepped up for them. I believe he's a second-year guy. He comes off the bench, just a sharp shooter. So they got him. They got guys, Landry Shamet. I feel like he's been around forever. But, yeah, it's going to be interesting, Chad. So that's what I would say. The Cavs should at least inquire and see what it is and what it would take to keep him away from New York. Because does he sign an extension here again? Giannis, who knows? I mean, he signed with Milwaukee, Cleveland's small market, and we have Donovan Mitchell here, and he signed. So
would it be kind of fun to see Giannis and LeBron on the same team for a year if LeBron came back and they trade for Giannis? I mean, would that be kind of fun? I don't know.
Don, Giannis, and LeBron?
Oof.
Don, Jan, and Bron?
Hey, I like it.
Okay. You got any final thoughts, Chad, before we get out here?
I do have a final thought. It's not sports related. I wanted to say rest in peace to Catherine O'Hara. She passed away at 71 years old. Just a couple of my absolute favorite roles in some of my favorite movies and shows. Home Alone, obviously legendary. We watch it every Christmas multiple times here in my household. And then Schitt's Creek. Her character on Schitt's Creek was it was brilliant. I mean, she was just a brilliant actress. Everything she did, she was in Beatles. Everything she did, she just completely tore it up. You know what I mean? So I was very sad. I was actually really saddened to see that news today. That's some celebrity deaths hit you a little harder than others. That was a big one. I saw that. So rest in peace to Catherine O'Hara. Years and years and years of such quality entertainment, so many laughs. Just really, really sad to see that she passed away.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And sending well wishes to the family and her loved ones during this tough time, because that's not easy. Death isn't easy. So definitely thoughts and and prayers, and whatever, however you mourn out there, for anybody, we're just keeping you in our well wishes. So with that being said, and before I pivot, I did see, I saw that in Macaulay Culkin's response too. That tore me up. I mean, that just sucks. He thought he had, just kind of saying he thought he had more time, and
I lost my mom a couple years ago. I understand. I know that wasn't his real mom, but she might as well. I mean, she might as well have been like a mother to him. I know he had a rough home life growing up, and as I understand it, she took him under her wing a little bit and stuck up for him when a lot of people weren't there for him. So
yeah, just tough, man, tough. Yeah, well wishes to the O'Hara family, and Macaulay Culkin. Obviously, who's taking this hard. And everybody out there that may be taking this hard. my aunt, I'll leave you with this. I'll leave everybody with this. My Aunt Monica, rest in peace to my Aunt Monica. She passed away 5-6 years ago now. Time flies by, but you talk about like celebrity deaths hitting you hard. My Aunt Monica was like the one who would call me, and she'd be like, "Can you believe this happened today?" And she would call me, and I'd find out about like a celebrity passing away or somebody and she'd be shook up about it. She was very close to like whoever she watched on TV or whatever. So my Aunt Monica was a good one. So and she always made sure to show the love and compassion, and I think that's where I get it from. I start crying sometimes watching like sad videos on Facebook, and I'm like, why am I crying? It's 2:30 in the afternoon. But yeah. Rest in peace to the to Catherine O'Hara.
Dog food commercials sometimes for me, they get me, whatever.
Yes, but rest in peace to Catherine O'Hara. Well wishes to the family, and we're definitely Inside Edge Network is definitely thinking of you during this time. So yeah. Chad, it was a great week, man. Great week. And we are going to be back next week for everybody out there. That doesn't mean you don't have weekend tunage to get into it with us here. Chad, Bryan, and TK Dandridge will be doing a legal formation. They're aiming from that 11 to 1 p.m. range to jump on. So just keep your alarms set so okay, the 11, we're in the range. And then if you're subscribed, which you should be following Inside Edge Net on the TikTok, Twitter, IG, YouTube, and Facebook. Subscribe, follow, so you get updates when we go live. So okay, I don't need to keep an exact time on the minute. Chad and TK, they're ready to rock. Boom. It let me know we're live. So then you can
takes, by the way, all over social media. They're not all hour episodes. I know sometimes it's hard to sit down and watch for an hour or 2 hours. All kinds of clips of just all takes on everything from across the network, from everyone, really. All over social, all over TikTok, Instagram, like you said, Facebook, everything. So just make sure you're following us everywhere to catch all that, to make sure you're caught up on what we're doing.
Yes, absolutely. And we'd love to see you and join us here on the weekend. Like I said, Chad and TK, Illegal Formation, Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon at 5 p.m. We'll be Real Talk with Papa Moon with his guest, Gio, part of the Lahele Collective that I'm also a part of. So we'll hear his music background, and Gio's got so many stories. I can't wait. So excited. And then Sunday sports show with Chad, TK, and Ryan Mosser. That will be in the morning. You're going to be aiming to do it same time as the pregame show that we were. Okay, perfect. So we're looking about like 11 a.m.
Yeah, right about 11. Yep, exactly.
Awesome. 11 a.m. Eastern time means 8 a.m. West Coast time. So it means set your alarms early, West Coast peeps. And main event will take you into the evening. Robert Zicki, AA, Anthony Alford, and myself, Eli Moon, will break down the entire rest of the week and get you started for your Monday. Because typically by the time we get off air, it is Monday. It is officially the first hour of Monday. So with that being said, Chad and I will be back together. Inside Edge Primetime back next week, an hour episode, Monday through Friday, breaking down whatever the sports stories hit. And if you have a suggestion out there of a sports story that you think we should cover, whether it be local here in Ohio or something that maybe slipped under the rug this week, we missed it, went under the radar. We do a pretty good job, but sometimes a lot of stories. Send it to us. You have Chad Bryan at Real Chad Bryan right there. Mine's Instagram. I'm so funny. Instagram only right now is where I do my business primarily, but I'm at the man they call Moon. I'm all over the social, but that's the best way to reach me. Send us something. We'll go ahead and we'll do our research and we'll cover it. So we're all about shining light on all the different stories, and obviously you guys were a little quiet in the comments today. So next week we're gonna need you to on Monday we need you to chime back in here and tell us what you're thinking. Okay?
We want to hear from you. We're not the whole show. Like, we want to hear from you. What do you think? We want to know what you guys think.
Absolutely, we do. And yes, reminder, Inside Edge Network, this is your source for sports, entertainment, mental health, everything in between. We're going to get you covered all week long. So thank you so much for tuning into our Browns coverage of Todd Monken being hired as the new head coach. Thanks for tuning into the regularly programmed scheduled shows. And thank you for just supporting us. We truly, like Chad said, like I've said, like we've all said, we truly could not do this without all of you. So we are blessed to be in this position and be doing this every day. So again, this is the first week wrapped up of Inside Edge Primetime. We got a new name and a Thursday Topics piece. We're like, where's Thursday Topics? So here it is, right here. And we're here on Friday again. We'll be back next week, about 10 p.m. sharp start time. Sometimes we're a few minutes late. Look, I got to grab a ginger ale. Chad's got stuff he's got to do. Look, we'll get after it. But 10 o'clock to 11, we are going to run Monday through Friday here on the Inside Edge Network. So please stay tuned in on Inside Edge Net and all the socials. And tell a friend, tell a family member. Let's get more of you in here next week, and let's keep conversing. We just continue to see the numbers grow, and it is so exciting. So one more time, for Chad Bryan, to my right, your left, I am Eli Moon. This is the Inside Edge Network. This is Inside Edge Primetime. That's Chad Bryan. Once again, I'm Eli Moon because the name says it. And we'll see you next week. All right. Take care.